Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 175 of the Y'all Get Here podcast. I'll be your host today, Patrick. And joining me today are my two closeout co-hosts,
Jonathan.
Whistling Wenzel.
And after weeks of being apart and doing independent projects, we're all back together. Sans one member, unfortunately. Colt's a little under the weather today, but he'll be back in time. But today we'll be pressing on and talking about what we've been up to, so sort of catching up with everybody, and also getting a little bit into what we'll be doing for the fall.
Hold on, let me drink from my ice cold Coca-Cola. Yum. Sorry, Colt. I asked him if he wanted us to say anything, and he said for us to say that. So
I don't know what that bit is.
I don't know either. He just said whenever you're saying talking about me being not feeling good, just say that.
I think that sciatic nerve reached his brain.
Maybe.
He's probably having a stroke. We need to get him help.
I don't know. He's been talking to the chat. He's fine.
Anywho.
Well, since John and I, we've been hanging out, of course, the whole time. Let's find out what you've been up to, Wenzel. Let everybody know what you've been doing behind the scenes.
I don't know. Nothing. Stupid shit. No, man, it's been a while since last time we've had like a little kind of summer thingy, whatever. I've been just relaxing, I guess. I've just been watching movies, trying to get that count up. Currently at 72. 72 movies this year.
Woo, 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 woo,
and we
woo.
still got a few more days of August, so I might bump that up to 75. We'll see. Oh, man, it's just... Okay, last night I watched Come and See. Finally. And...
Oh, fuck.
And holy shit, Cole's not lying. That movie was amazing. It is easily one of the best movies ever. 5 out of 5. Amazing. It was just incredible. It was so surreal and so terrifying. Like, there's a portion of the movie where I was just straight faced, like dead. I was just drained, tired, and I was like, holy shit. In my mind, it was just insane how like horrifying this movie is. And I didn't even realize too that the title is a reference to a Bible verse, which is pretty neat. Okay. Yeah, because the little booklet that you get with the Criterion, it starts off literally with that. And I'll just read the verse to you because it's like really good. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. That's from Revelation chapter 6, verses 7 through 8. Fucking chills, man, especially when you've seen the movie.
God, like, Revelation is the most metal fucking book of the Bible. And like, even just outside of, like, a religious context, it's just fun to read because it's wild.
It is so fucking...
Just the imagery is just it's insane.
Yeah, like, anybody who's, like... man, it's the thing, too, is that, like, whenever I've talked to people, when I used to be Christian about the Bible, nobody ever talked about Revelations. Nobody. But whenever I read it, I was like, this is some crazy shit, and I am terrified. Why is nobody talking about this?
Wow, like, no one really, like, ever talked about the end of the world shit with you?
Yeah, nobody wanted to. Everybody was just like, God's gonna come back, or Jesus is gonna come back, and then we're all gonna go to heaven. That's it.
God, I had the complete opposite experience where, like, by 5 years old, I had existential dread.
Yeah.
Because like, my mom was like, yeah, and... the Antichrist is going to rise up. The rapture is going to happen. There's going to be 7 years of hell on earth. Then Jesus is going to come back. We're going to reign here for 1,000 years and then go to heaven forever. And it's like, then there's going to be like fucking microchips put into you. And
okay.
And like 5-year-old me was like,
that's a lot to drop on someone who just barely started walking.
Okay.
Yes.
I will say, maybe I've said this on the podcast before. My dad at one point did say, like, God's going to come down and, or Jesus is going to come down, and then everybody's going to be like, all sinners, whatever, everybody's going to be put on trial essentially. And then, but it was just so weird because he was like, nobody, because God is so merciful that if you're a sinner, instead of going into hell, he's just going to destroy your soul completely. So you'll never have existed at all. So like that would be like essentially true death. You're just utter annihilation. He did tell me that, and the microchip thing was something he told me about too. I remember him telling me about the people were like, microchips are the mark of the beast. Like, okay, did they know about nanotechnology in Bible times?
No.
Yeah, because there's a lot that people have like kind of ascribe with the Bible that's nowhere included to it.
Yeah, but like the mark of the beast, from what I remember reading, because it's been years, is it's a physical distinction that's either on your hand or on your forehead.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sorry, but I can't see fucking nanotechnology with my naked eyes.
It would literally be, you'd probably see a cut, like at most, a cut, and like, who goes looking for that? So, yeah. Anyway, that crazy Christians, man.
I will say just on that note, like the whole seven seals, how like that seventh seal is just total bullshit. It's like, hey, this is the seventh seal, but the seventh seal is like 7 vials, and the seventh vial is 7 bowls, and it just keeps. It's like, quit dragging this shit out, man.
Right? Like,
but
and like the thing is too, the 7 bowls and the 7 seals and the 7 vials are like all totally different things.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you open like a folder in a computer and like a bunch of more folders come out and then one more after that. It's just like subfolders in like the Christian apocalypse.
Yeah,
it's the Russian nesting.
Yeah,
of like a apocalyptic mayhem. But there was one that really fucked me up. One of my Sunday school teachers, I remember it being a pretty like sleepy Sunday. She's like going through the lesson, which happened to be about toward the end of the world and the second coming, and we're all just kind of like, yeah, we're not really paying attention. And then like she pulled like a fucking trick on us. So I noticed it, but I didn't really take it in. So what she did was she had surreptitiously pressed play on a little like boombox or something, and it played like this big like trumpet sound. She was like, "Oh fuck, it's the second coming, kids!" And I thought I was gonna shit my pants.
Jesus Christ, that's fucking abuse.
That is terrifying, because that was something I did read too, and I was never taught it. Was that we probably talked about this before? Is that the anybody who's a true believer, they'll hear trumpets, but anybody who's a sinner will hear a horrible, monstrous, terrifying sound instead of trumpets, and that means it's the end of the fucking world. That's terrifying, man. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. But you were saying about the I guess the unsaved hearing like a monstrous noise. I mentioned this in the podcast back in like our second ghost hunting trip. But I remember I was asleep one night, and now at my parents' house, we live right next to a train track, so I know what a train sounds like. But for whatever reason, this night it was like 2-3 a.m. in the morning, dead asleep, and I heard a sound that I have never heard since, and it cannot ever place, because it sounded so otherworldly. This big, I can't even describe, like it sounded like a beast or like a it didn't sound like any mechanical noise. It just sounded like something completely not of Earth. And I thought, oh fuck, this is the rapture. So I'm like running through the house in the dark. My dad's like, "What is the problem? Did you not hear that sound? He's like, Pat, it's just a train." It's like, that is no fucking train. So and like he acted like it was nothing. But he has like he can hear, like he has super human hearing, whereas I can't hear shit. So who got the better genes in that of the family? I didn't get it from Dad.
Fuck.
Like. He can hear ladybug shit outside, but he can't hear like this fucking apocalyptic noise that just blew in the middle of the night.
Man, it was probably one of the angels. He accidentally started it off too early.
Ah, fuck! It's like Darksiders all over.
Yeah,
again.
It was one of those dumbass angels just fucking around. That reminds me though. This was a story my dad told me. This was like a long time ago when he was a kid, Chattanooga, Tennessee. There was like, I think. There was this day where the sky was just, they described it as being red, and there was just all this smoke. It was just, it was just like, it was like apocalyptic. It was an apocalyptic scene, and everybody thought it was the end of the world. So literally, I remember he said his dad, my grandfather, the neighbors and stuff were all dressed in white, going outside, just standing, ready to be taken, and it was just a fire at a factory.
Jesus Christ, that is fucking terrifying.
And like,
just you walk outside and you just see a bunch of dipshits in fucking white robes walking around. Fuck.
And like they're just like just going through the phone, but hey, it's the Rapture. Get outside. It's time.
And they just start singing "Awesome God," and it's just like, what?
The thing is I want to know is how does everybody prepare to have, like, they weren't in white robes. From what I remember, my dad just said white clothes, so I'm thinking like white suits and dresses. Like, who has all this shit and is just ready? Like, who? Like, did they really prepare for this? Man,
they must.
They must have, because my dad described it as literal families coming out into their yards wearing white clothes, just waiting, man, holding hands.
And plus, I just love the idea that like Jesus is gonna take everybody to heaven, but if you're not wearing the right clothes, it's like, sorry, hon, you're not getting in, sweetheart.
That's a good point. And the thing is,
lets all the dudes in, but then he's just like, all right, Susie, you got to get rid of that spaghetti strap before you come into the pearly gates.
And the thing is too,
now don't get sassy with me.
Everybody's depicted as being naked. Like,
yeah, because that was one thing I heard, or I don't think it's in the Bible, but that's what I remember seeing in iconography, what was it, that fucking Left Behind movie where the people would just disappear and their clothes be left behind.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
We watched that movie last year.
Man. Oh shit. I know that movie.
I was drunk as fuck.
That's funny though. I've been having a craving for watching biblical type movies like that. I don't know why. I guess to feed my existential dread or something.
I think Wenzel may have a lot of unresolved issues from his past as a religious person.
I know we're going so off topic, but I remember as a kid when we were told about what we'd be wearing in heaven, I was so scared because I was like, oh my God, everybody's gonna see me naked. I was so terrified of being that was when I was a kid, so why wouldn't you be, man. And that was also another thing too, is that they tell you that come into church as you are, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, because I don't know, that's just who has access to always these formal nice clothes? That shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, they had a velvet rope outside Club Studio 54 with a bouncer and a clipboard. It's you're not getting in.
I mean, it's just funny because my dad said you should always look your Sunday best. You should always look your best. It's well, what about homeless people? I guess they don't have the right to come to church, do they? Or people who are impoverished, or just they just don't have access to these nice clothes, or whatever you consider nice. I don't know.
And as crazy and fundamental of a church I grew up in, everyone sort of did their best, but if someone came in, with t-shirt and shorts, no one got fucking butthurt about it.
I mean, nobody should,
Yeah, it's ideally, the point of religion, is to bring as many people in, because in their mind, they don't want someone to go to hell. So it's why add these unnecessary, arbitrary barriers of entry? I
mean, yeah, sorry, we could go on a whole theological talk about this.
Yeah, stay tuned to the non-canon files, the lads talk about religion. No, that probably will never happen.
No, it will not.
What do you mean? We're going to have an episode where we talk about all these end time movies.
Yeah, we'll just go through the lads watch the Left Behind series coming soon.
Man, let's yeah, let's do it.
Anyway, going back to Come and See.
Oh yeah, it was just
what a tangent.
I know it was. I need to read the little booklet because it was just I need to watch the supplements too because I imagine they're fantastic. Because this movie was just, I mean, really, it was just superb, and I wish I could talk about it more, but really, you just got to go watch it. Brace yourselves, though, because I should say, when I watched this, I was already sad, and I was like, I can't get any sadder, so let's just go.
And the movie's bitch, you thought.
Oh, man. Yeah. But going back a little bit, man, I've watched so many movies, and I don't want to talk about them all, because some of them are okay and some of them are great. I will say another movie I watched that was 5 stars was The Battle of Algiers, which was available on the Criterion channel.
Fuck.
Really fucking good movie. Really good, just like exploration of like Western colonialism and the systems of oppression that have been created. Man, it was just another spectacular movie. That's kind of shot like it's cinematic, but it's kind of shot like almost documentary style.
Like cinema verite type.
Yeah. Really good. Oh, and fuck me, another good movie I watched on the Criterion channel was Cure. Cure is a really good fucking Japanese murder mystery movie directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. This movie was great. I can't recommend it enough. Oh man, it was okay. It's about a bunch of murders who their only connection to these murders is that there's a bloody X carved into the neck of each victim. But in each case, the murderer is found near the victim and remembers nothing of the crime. I'm reading this off Letterboxd, by the way. It's really good. I highly recommend that. If you got a Criterion channel subscription, because I don't know if it's on anything else. Watch it, what else? Oh my god, me and Colt watched Behind the Curve. Oh my god.
Oh fuck, is that the Flat Earth documentary?
Yes, it was so okay. I gave it 3.5 stars, but it was really freaking good. Oh my god.
Because I remember you talking about that, because for whatever reason, John and I, we were pissed drunk that night, and I remember yelling at y'all in chat. Y'all were watching a Flat Earth movie?
Hell yeah, we were, and it was great. It's a documentary, of course, and it examines, like, I didn't even know this guy existed, its most prolific member, because it's mostly him, but like it also, goes to different members as well of this movement. Mark Sargent, if you've ever heard of him, and
yeah, unfortunately.
And he, like, oh my god, we watched this at the very beginning of the month, and it feels like this month has gone by like it's been 100 years since we've watched this, but it was so freaking good. And like it was good because the people who were filming they really made the flat earthers look like total fucking idiots. And
I can't imagine that was too hard.
No, it wasn't. Fuck me, there was even a part in there where they went to Space Museum and they were just making fun of it, and they got this superb shot of Mark Sargent doing something that of course he would fucking do, and it was just like, it was like cosmic irony. Like it's like space was like, you know what, fuck you. I'm gonna make you look like an idiot, even though it was like tiny, it was small, it was so good. Oh man, oh my, and of course one of the flat earthers was just like, dinosaurs don't exist. That's impossible. And I was just, I cannot fathom why anybody would go to the effort to place all these bones all around the world and in random spots just so that people could find them later and be like, ha, fucking got you.
It's the Illuminati, Wenzel. It's the fossil Illuminati.
And not only that, a lot of these fossils are baried so deep into the ground.
They're buried so deep, and there's just random piles in random places. I mean, hell, there was a fucking watering hole not a watering hole, it was like a hole in Madagascar where they had to go down, and like they discovered all these different bones of these different type of primates, and it was really cool because like they also, that's how they learned that there was a lemur the size of a fucking gorilla, but like they only had a few bones of it. And it's just like, who would go to the effort to place these fake bones at the bottom of a almost impossibly like a location that you would never find for hundreds of years, just for like what the effort to there's no reward.
Yeah, and the thing is this is the problem I have with all conspiracy theories and conspiratorial thought. It all works on the it's all coming from presupposition, but it works on the presupposition that there is some like mastermind who's in control of everything, when all of our world leaders and people in positions of power in general are dumb as fuck. and incompetent as shit. And it's like, and with something as big as like NASA trying to cover up the world is flat, it's like, one, what's the motive? Like, what are they trying? What would they get out of that? And also, too, it's like
it would just require like an enormous amount of like subterfuge and planning, and like,
someone would talk eventually, you know.
Like even the stuff that like the stuff that we have right now, like the Epstein stuff. Like there's always these little things, these little leaks. So like no matter how big it is, something always comes out. Because what was it that Bruce Lee said? 3 things can't be hidden for long: the sun, the moon, and the truth.
I think so.
And so like and plus it just. We're sort of just shown on a daily basis that all the people in power have like repeatedly shown their ass and their complete unwillingness to work with anybody, even if like there is a mutual goal, it seems.
You know, it was funny though, because there was a part in the doc where they had like evidence of people coming out and saying the earth is flat. It was really fucking funny. And but that was also what made this so good, is that it made them look like idiots, of course, but there was a part in there where they had interviews with actual like scientists, physicists, and so on, and you know, they were all laughing, but then also they're like, hey, you know, we can laugh and make these jokes, but we need to understand too that these people are people, they're humans, and that we as a community as a science community have failed them, and that they are essentially failed scientists, and that's really sad. You know, because a lot of them are really smart. They are like, except for one guy who thought that dude, except for one guy who thought dinosaurs aren't real. I will not say that guy is a failed scientist. No way. No fucking way. Fuck him. Anyway, but yeah, there were like legitimate people like doing experiments, and there was even a point in there where they explained one of the experiments to one of the scientists, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. That, you know, that'd be interesting to see." So yeah, you know, like, you know, while this doc, you know, shines a light on them, it also has gives them some empathy, you know, but also it also makes sure to understand that these people are you should they're just so ridiculous. They're just so ridiculous.
Yeah, and not to get hyperbolic, but that type of thinking is really dangerous. Now, like, thinking the earth is flat in most instances is pretty banal. It's pretty benign. There's, you know, what sort of danger coming out of that? But it's ideas like that you could easily get to ideas like QAnon, the Jewish question, shit like that is completely not true. But, and actually, you know, has negative effects on.
Yeah, so sorry, I was just going to say, that's also something else, too, after they explained this, because it was really good. You know, I gave this doc 3.5 stars. I should probably give it 4, because there was this really good moment in there where they had, you know, this montage and the scientists talking that, you know, even though these people are people and humans, and, you know, they have whatever, they were also dangerous in the fact that fundamentally, like, at the fundamental level of why they think the earth is flat is dangerous, because, you know, there's a way of thinking where it's like, even though they're being giving all this facts and evidence, it's like they just don't want to believe it. And then it's also dangerous because they also showed footage of kids believing this stuff, and like them trying to change just like what's taught in the schools, and that's where it gets into, you know, you get into real danger.
Exactly.
I would recommend giving it a watch. It was very entertaining, very insightful, and man, I'll just say another good movie I watched too was Secret Sunshine as well, and that was a very sad Korean movie. I'll just say that. Give it a watch if you can. I know Criterion actually has a physical version of it that next Criterion sale I'm probably going to cop just because it's so good. Yeah, and then I, you know, again, caught up, or I'm at 72 movies. Recently, I beat The Last of Us 2 a few days ago.
Oh.
What an amazing game. What an amazing game. it is so like it is so much better than the first. It completely just blew my expectations out of the fucking water. And everybody's complaints that I've seen about it are so fucking stupid. At this point, like oh man, there was one guy that had sort of a complaint that was kind of like, okay, I can see what you're saying, but also like whatever, man. Like whatever, like it's such a I don't know. It was so dumb. It was, I mean, really. And then like everybody else, I'm seeing like, I see people like, you know, like of course these are the same people who are transphobes, homophobes, or racist. They're like, oh, don't shove your agenda down my throat. Like what? That trans people exist? Like that other races exist? That people of other sexualities exist? Also, and also that was something too that the game does perfectly is violence. The violence in it, like the fighting and stuff, was brutal and in a way satisfied, but also it was kind of like, and something that I think should be said is that, you know, violence shouldn't be the answer, and it you know, you should think about what you're doing. I'll just leave it at that. Man, it was so fucking good. Highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. Fuck. And then beyond that, I've also been reading a good bit this month, trying to catch up on my books. I'm at a goal of like I want to read 66. I'm currently at 47. I started off this month, I think, reading It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. Really good. I gave it 4 stars. It's about a kid in high school who gets admitted into a psychiatric hospital, and it's based off of the author's real experience in a psychiatric hospital. It was good for the most part. You know, it's interesting because like you get to look at like somebody who comes from a loving family, who's privileged as well. Like, you know, there's no like monetarily or financially they're fine, and still ends up having depression. You know, it's just sometimes it's genetic. It's just something that happens, and there shouldn't be you know, there's this stigma. I guess the stigma. What I'm trying to say is a stigma that like, you know, people will say like, don't worry, don't be sad, be happy, and it's like it's not possible. You know, it's not chemically possible, and I think this does a really good job of exploring that. There's just something in there though that I thought was kind of contrived. That was just kind of like, whatever. But yeah, and there's that. There's also another great book I read, 5 out of 5, Fauna by Donna Mazza. It's an Australian book, really fucking good. It's about a couple who they lost one of their children. They're at birth, and they want to have another child. So they go to this company called Lifeblood that's been working in using DNA technology to bring back. Sorry, I'm trying to explain this.
No, it's funny when you say they go to a company called Lifeblood to bring their dead child back to life, and of course, nothing bad's going to happen.
The thing is that this company Lifeblood, they work in using DNA technology to bring back extinct animals. So now, like the dodo bird, the Tasmanian tiger, the mammoth, they're all living, well alive in the world. So now anything like when it comes to animals is possible. And this company has been experimenting with humans, and they go to this company to essentially take parts of the mother, the father, and DNA from somewhere else, put it together, and put this child. It's like it's you know, in vitro in a way, and it's just really good. And the thing is too is that it's actually it's totally possible. Like, it's totally possible within the fucking future, and it's kind of crazy. And then recently, I also been reading the Odyssey series. If anybody's ever watched the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, there's also a book written by Arthur C. Clarke. He wrote it at the same time the movie was getting made, and he helped write the screenplay. Him and Stanley Kubrick are friends, and I read the first book. The first book is great, just as great as the movie. Both are vastly different, and I recommend either. But then the second book, 2010 Odyssey 2, it takes place after the movie rather than the first book, and that was something that I was kind of like bothered by, but it wasn't too big of a deal. Still a great story. So
I wonder if that was a tie-in to the 2010
That okay.
movie.
That's another thing too. From what I've read, the that one is also different from the movie as well. Which I actually want to watch the movie. I remember being kind of iffy about it, but then I just kind of want to see it. And then also Arthur C. Clarke himself was just like, it's a fine movie. I liked it, and I was like, I'll watch it too. Take your word for it.
Yeah, like I'm curious because it's like, how do you make a sequel to like one of the best movies ever made?
And I mean, like, especially in books too. But let me tell you, like, from where this is going in the books, it's getting pretty fucking crazy, and I'm here for it because now I'm in the third book, 2061 Odyssey 3, and it started off kind of slow, but we're getting good, and I'm excited to finish it and read the last book. So that's what I've been doing. That's a lot of shit to throw at you guys. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfectly fine. All that's really fucking interesting.
Thank you. Sorry, we haven't like when I say it's felt like 1,000 years in this month, it's felt like 1,000 years. I haven't talked to these fuckers in a while, and I'm sorry, but I just like to talk about this stuff because it's like a lot of interesting stuff. And now I want to hear what the fuck you guys have been doing. Go!
Because, like Wenzel said, of course, we've had our individual episodes throughout this month, alternating between John and myself and Colt and Wenzel. And part of that, we didn't really speak like voice chat. It was just more so in our Twitter DMs. So when we say we're catching up, it's like we're legitimately catching up on air as the episode's going. And I did want to say, that you and Colt Wenzel did a great job with your 2 episodes about Call of Duty and the Gundam episodes. Those were a lot of fun to listen to. And honestly, they didn't tell us what they were going to do before we got the audio file, so it was a surprise to us when we listened. So it was fun not knowing, what was going to be in the show, essentially. So that's a nice little surprise. So y'all did a great job.
Yeah, I really love Joel's
Thank
Gundam
you.
episode.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We worked fairly hard. I actually did take the time to listen to you guys' episodes, and I was very surprised too. Like, even though we said we asked what you guys were doing, I was still just like, man, these are good. These are great episodes. So yeah.
Because it was pretty gratifying to see Colt go back and watch one of the John Waters movies. He watched,
Female Trouble.
Female Trouble, yeah. The John Waters, that was just a blast just to watch those because we, like, when John and I watched them earlier in the year, because we watched them throughout, they were just like, we were screaming and yelling and laughing at so many different points. So, like, if you have the stomach to watch them, we really continuously recommend those movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Wenzel, since you have Criterion, like, a lot of his work is on there.
Yeah,
so
no.
If you're interested.
No, literally, like, when you guys came out with this, I was like, you know what? I'll probably check them out soon, maybe. But because you guys did them, I'm like, I'm confident that I will enjoy what I watch.
Maybe. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Because there's so many barriers of entry to John Waters, and it is a very particular taste.
Yeah, you definitely have to have, like, a strong gag reflex, like, just like a physical stomach, because a lot of it is genuinely nauseating, and that's by design. And, like, the sort of the lower production values, the acting, it's all in a way as it is, but also a lot of it is by design. So, like,
and then on top of all that, there are some things in the movie that may not fly today too. Yeah. So you kind of have to go in with a expectation. It's like, oh yeah, this is from the 70s.
Oh, okay.
There's going to be some stuff that's intentionally provocative, and stuff that just may not have been objectionable today that may sit a little uncomfortably nowadays, but. We both said on the episode we don't feel anything in his movies is like malicious.
Yeah. Okay.
Like mean-spirited. It's content that may not be for everybody, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But John, you've been on a very bingeful journey. Maybe a bizarre journey. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So finally caught up with JoJo's. The end of the year last year, I started watching it. Watched parts 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3, and then kind of just fell off. Because part 3, at least in my opinion, kind of starts out real slow and kind of plotty.
Yeah.
And Jotaro does not start out interesting, IMO.
That's very true. No, sorry.
I mean, he gets a lot better later on. I think he works better as a supporting character. But yeah, that was really fun.
That's funny because I was thinking the same thing, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say that about Jotaro. He's better as a supporting character.
Yeah, and it's because it's not that he's not interesting. It's just he's just kind of monotone.
Yeah, like when they first introduced him, and that's just character development, I guess. I don't know. We haven't gotten anything with Jotaro being the main character. So yeah, starting out he was monotone. He was kind of a dick.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I couldn't get behind initially because his mom is just doing her fucking best,
and he just straight up calls her a bitch.
He's just like, "Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch," and I'm like, but then they try to do this. You look nice today. And it's like that does not erase the fact you called your mom a fucking bitch.
Man, but
it's like my mom would slap the shit out of me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Mine too. Yeah, I see what you're saying because I remember when I first watched part 3, I dropped off for a little bit, but I finally forced myself to come back. And I assume it got better for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Once I finally, it's like, okay, I'm just going to sort of push through it. I really started to enjoy it. Part 3. There's no reason that needs to be damn near 50 episodes.
So long.
I'm sorry.
So fucking long.
Almost all the 2-parters could be a single fucking episode. However, the high points of part 3 are so fucking high.
Yeah.
The fight with Vanilla Ice.
Oh.
10 out of 10. And then, honestly, and this is so not original, but probably my favorite fight in the series is Jotaro versus Dio.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, of course. No.
Because that was a lot of fun. Because I kind of joined in with Jonathan at the very end. And it's always super gratifying to watch somebody react the way you want to something they're seeing for the first time, but well. So him seeing all the big moments in the fight with Dio, especially the one particular moment at the very end.
Yeah, I don't want to go into spoilers too much because I know we'll probably have probably multiple JoJo episodes later on.
Yeah.
But when I say the moment in the fight with Dio, everyone knows what moment I'm talking about. Where I sat there and screamed 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, he yelled to the point that Liz and Cameron were yelling back what the hell is going on out there? Because it's such a great moment. Because as weird and bizarre as JoJo is, and even with the valleys, the crescendos of the series are always worth watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for a series that is so bizarre, the amount of times I got genuinely emotional at certain moments, and moments that I wouldn't think I would get emotional at. There's one in part 4 when Josuke meets his dad. I'm not going to say who that is. And that was just fuck me.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, and then I just watched the rest of the series, and as of right now, my favorite is part 4. I really like the supporting cast. Josuke is my favorite JoJo.
Oof.
And
good choice.
Kira, I hate to say he tops Dio. He's more interesting than Dio from from a writing perspective, because he has a very, very interesting motivations and a very interesting psychology, whereas Dio is just evil.
He's the doomsday villain. He's evil for the sake of evil.
But Dio is how you do that type of villain right, because he is so fucking entertaining.
Because he's so over the top, and when you see him do bad evil shit, it's fucking bad.
Yeah.
It's so, and plus he's cartoony, but you still he's a piece of shit.
One of the first things the first interaction he has with Jonathan in part 1 is he kicks a fucking dog.
Man.
Because, like, before that, it's like, oh, maybe, you know, they're going to make him, like, this compelling character, blah, 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 and it's going to be about the interactions between him and Jonathan. No, he's just a shit.
He's evil right out the
he's just
gate.
a piece of shit.
Yeah. and then got through part 5, which I know that's probably most of the boys' favorite part.
Don't you
And
say it. Don't you say it, Jonathan.
No, I love part
Okay.
5.
I'm just
Don't
kidding.
get me wrong. It's just under part 4.
Oh, okay.
It's just that there are some things in part 5 that aren't like necessarily like major issues, but like definitely hold it back for me. And I'm sorry, Giorno's boring as fuck.
Oh no! Eat my ass! No,
I'm not that big. I'm not that big a fan of Giorno.
man!
personally.
Oh, dude, Jordo's.
But the thing is, like, I don't even feel like it's his story though. Like up until like the end, like, because all the other crew are so much more interesting, and I love all of them so much.
Yeah, that.
But Giorno is, I mean, he's just kind of a plank of wood.
Oh my god.
Like, he has his moments. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, the 7-page Muda is badass as fuck, and same with Golden Experience Requiem. But
Spoiler.
just as a character, like, I didn't get, like, even with someone like Jotaro in part 3, who I also thought was kind of bland and boring. The high points with his character was like super fucking high. Whereas, like, there were a couple for Giorno in part 5, but
Giorno didn't have like enough to really make him stand out as a protagonist. Like, of course, everyone has like this is like their big character moment, but like Giorno, his was just in fewer and far between.
I see. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, because I'm comparing him to Josuke. But the thing is that, like, you can't. It's hard because you shouldn't compare, the JoJo family line to each other. But when I think about Josuke, like, I see what you're saying, because Josuke was like so like, he just had a lot of personality and character. Oh man, he really was he was really fantastic.
yeah, and one of the problems with some of the parts of JoJo, especially parts 3 and 5, I feel like Araki was more interested in the supporting cast. Like I get part, like I mean, the age old meme of part 3 being Polnareff's Bizarre Adventure, but like a lot of the times, like Giorno and Jotaro kind of just get sidelined through a lot of their own series. Like, they have a lot at the very beginning and they have a lot at the very end, but like in the middle, there's not a lot for them to do. But like.
No, sorry, Ed, keep going.
Whereas Josuke in part 4, he was in the show a right amount and felt like the protagonist, while also being interesting and charismatic and fun.
That's a very fair. God, man, yeah. When I see what you're saying, because like, man, I consider part 5 my favorite, but there. I can't say like it's absolutely perfect, because there's an argument me and Colt got into a while ago, even with Tanner in it, and I still to this day fucking hold on to it, because it's like there's just some things that are in part 5 that are just kind of like, there's like okay, that's explain that to me, and like you said, the supporting characters, like I think they definitely should have been explored more, but then you're looking at like probably an even longer part 5, and I say this like more so on La Squadra, the Squadra's part. They were the Squadra Execution. They were the Hitman Squad that were fighting for most of the, like, they were like, they looked unique, and it seemed like there's a lot that could have been done there, specifically with fucking Risotto. Like, there's so much could have been done with Risotto. He just seemed very interesting.
Which one was Risotto?
He was the leader of the Hitman Squad. He was...
Oh yeah, definitely. He got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, because like...
And his fucking stand is one of my favorites.
Fuck, yeah, same.
I mean, I'm also kind of biased because it's Metallica.
Yeah.
But like he has like this just awesome, like one of the best designs in part 5, and that's saying something. 'Cause
Yeah, like
part 5 by far has the best character designs.
Yeah, like Araki was feeling himself when he was making everybody in part 5. Like, he was on his shit.
for sure. Oh man, yeah, that's like
But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like Prosciutto and Pesci are pretty cool. I really like those episodes.
yeah.
I forgot the guy's name, but his stand is White Album.
Ghiaccio,
Ghiaccio was really cool.
which Ghiaccio just means ice.
Yeah.
I mean, you like...
Well, and like prosciutto is a like type of
Yeah. No, we
Type
could
of
we
ham.
could go all day about how great these names are. You know, risotto's pasta, a type of pasta.
And the guy with the fucking with babyface stand,
Malone.
Malone. Yeah, like I felt like there was so much you could do with that ability,
Like
and it kind of just
because
wah, wah.
yeah, because that's kind of an insane ability. Like I would kind of want to see like is every stand that comes out like because it's technically his stand creates other stands. Sorry, these are huge spoilers, but we've talked about JoJo in a past episode so much, part 5 specifically. But it's like,
And I'll put a spoiler notice in the episode descriptions.
but
Yeah, but I mean, and also too, I really like at some point really want to do like
like a deep dive.
a
on
full
JoJo.
deep dive on
oh for
JoJo,
sure,
so-
you know.
But continue with what you're
But
saying.
like Malone and his stand, like is every stand that's created from that, like do they like are their personalities the same? Like what are their personalities like? Do they all look the same? You know, like there's just a lot you.
Like is the personality of the stand based on who it's fused with?
And that's the thing too is that like he was just killed so easily and by pure luck.
Yeah.
Well, not pure luck. I mean, you could say Giorno tracked him by turning one of the pieces of the stand into a snake, and then the snake went back to its master, whatever. But I mean, like, I remember somebody was, I was looking up stuff about La Squadra. I remember somebody's argument that was pretty good was that, you know, La Squadra is great and all, but like, they're just simply there, they're just simple obstacles, and that kind of just sucks.
Yeah, to me they felt while all their stands were really cool and interesting, except like that first guy, he was kind of boring.
Oh yeah, Little Feet.
The guy that Narancia fights.
Yeah.
That just shrinks. That's all his stand does is like whoop-de-fucking-do. But they do feel in a lot of ways similar to like early part 3, like the people based off of the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Where they are literally just there to be obstacles for the protagonist.
Which is
but-
fine sometimes.
Which yeah, is fine, but like when you see characters as intricately designed as La Squadra, it's like
It does feel like it's in a bit of a waste because they have like obviously a lot of thought and effort went into making these characters, coming up with designs, making their stands, and then for kind of just to be a little like only a little bit above the villain of the week.
Mm-hmm.
It feels kind of like they could have had like a whole parallel story. Like this is like they're the bad guy version of the Gang Stars, Giorno's group.
Exactly.
Because there's obviously there is some form of like camaraderie within La Squadra, so they feel like they could have extrapolated on that a little bit, but we just kind of have to take what we have and just sort of
Yeah, it's just a Rocky story, and we're living in it.
yeah.
and it's definitely, you can tell Araki makes it up as he goes along and doesn't necessarily think of the consequences of giving certain characters certain powers. Cough, cough, fugo, cough, cough. Which that was really disappointing. I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Because he's set up to be this really interesting character and then just fucks off. Like
Yeah, exactly. Like this is another character that we should have gotten more of. We only see his stand once, and then he's just gone. And he's like part of the main cast too. And he's gone for.
Yeah, he's part of the main cast. Like, I love it. His stand is really fucking cool.
Purple Haze, man.
But like,
I mean, in one perspective, I can see why he was removed because like his stand is sort of OP, but like, and on the other end, like Araki, it's his story, so he could have found a way to like make it more, or like have like this moment where Fugo learns to overcome or control, or somehow mitigate the powers of his stand, because that would have been an interesting journey of like, oh, I have this dangerous thing inside me, I have to learn to control it, and that's just sort of just kind of just dropped.
Yeah, and that could parallel his like anger issues as well,
because
like, him being able to control his stand is him being able to control his anger, because like there's a lot of like awesome bedrock there, but then he just right before they make King Crimson and Diavolo, he just kind of fucks off.
Read Purple Haze feedback if you want. I guess I haven't even read it. But if you want some character development, read that. And it's funny too because all of the I think all of the stands in that are named after Jimi Hendrix songs too. So that's fun.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then lastly, or wait, before I get to that, just talk about the main cast. Because we talked about Fugo, kind of talked about Giorno, but Bucciarati, MVP.
He's the mom. He's the best mom ever.
He is the fucking mom. And goddamn, every time he said sticky fingers, I just fucking laughed.
Yeah, I love the way he yells it, and I want a compilation of him
sticky
just yelling
fingers!
sticky finger.
And then in the subtitles you see Zipper Man.
That's the thing I love about this show is just seeing the copyright
friendly
the friendly names that they give them in the subtitles, but you just hear the
exact opposite.
The
in
Japanese
clear English, I'm saying the actual word, the actual band song, whatever.
Yeah, like there were a few I didn't catch. Like I didn't catch fucking Aerosmith.
Yeah, me neither.
But oh god, what was like Vanilla Ice? I still can't get over, and it took me so long to recognize it, but I still can't get over that Vanilla Ice and his stand is a goddamn pun.
Fuck, it's
he is Vanilla Ice and his stand is
cream. Fuck, there we go.
Vanilla Ice Cream.
Yeah. For some reason, I guess I want to say ice cream machine.
Now that I'm sort of put on the spot, I can't really think of any.
I like that one guy. His stand was craft work, but it was subtitled. It was arts and crafts. Like, okay, that's pretty. I give you that.
God, yeah. Like now that I'm put on the spot, I can't think of anyone in particular, but or like Abbacchio is moody blues or moody jazz.
Yeah.
Instead of moody blues.
Which, like, okay, maybe, but jazz and blues are two different things.
I mean, granted, like, jazz is an evolution from the blues, but yeah, they work off of two separate musical languages. But speaking of Abbacchio, out of the main group, probably my favorite.
Oh, yeah?
Or at least my favorite from a design perspective.
Oh, yeah, you like that goth look? I love it.
Yeah, I love me a goth.
A lot of goth boys in this, I will say, in this part 5.
Oh, yeah.
Risotto, Diavolo, Abbacchio, 3. Naranja's kind of goth, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. He's kind of like a little scene kid. And of course, Naranja Baby.
Of course, Baby.
And
Mista.
And I will say, lastly, about part 5, of all the stands in this fucking show, King Crimson fucking terrifies me.
Dude, okay, you know what? Since we're going all spoiler out, this is the argument me and Cole and Tanner had. I was talking about King Crimson because, okay, if you don't think about his ability too much, it makes sense. But I it's been such a long time, and I got so tired of it that I barely remember it now. But like, I remember watching a video explaining his ability and how like it was actually kind of confusing. It kind of doesn't make sense, because.
Yeah, like, and people say in the manga it's a lot worse because it's kind of hard to portray his ability.
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
in panels,
like,
and yeah, I saw videos like that where they're like, "What the fuck does King Crimson do? I don't know."
But like,
but the anime makes it a little easier to understand.
Of course.
While, like,
yeah.
But like, I'm also in the same boat as you. I think the fact that it kind of doesn't make sense and it is confusing is part of the reason it's so fucking scary.
I think I can agree with that. I'm willing to accept that because it definitely is Oh my god, when we first fucking saw it, oh shit, we were losing our. Well, I was losing my mind. Colt already knew it. Like this fucker, this fucker can literally stop time for 10 seconds and skip, like,
literally just like erase chunks of time,
and like.
And how it's portrayed in the anime is so fucking creepy.
It's so creepy
because like,
sorry, go ahead.
Because you just see like there will be like a skip, but the characters know there's something wrong, but they don't know what.
Because there's a great bit where they're in the Coliseum toward the end, and they're like running up the stairs, and then King Crimson happens, and then they're at the top of the stairs, and then they're like, "What just happened?" Because they have no memory. Because once King Crimson like excises that portion of time, it's just gone, even from memory.
Yeah.
And like you just see them like skipping through reality, and they're just like, "What the hell has happened? How do you come back?"
And the thing is too is that the action for them, like something as simple as like starting from the bottom of the stairs and getting to the top, that action of in between where they're walking is just completely removed. Like that, like it's just removed. But like they did it. They had to have done it, and like it's also a lot of psychological shock too that makes his stand so powerful, you know, because having
because it technically is a race, so it didn't quote happen,
but
everyone has like a mental impression of what
well
happened.
Technically it had to have happened because you had to have done it to do it. Like that's what bothered me about it, was that like it's not technically erasing.
Yeah, I guess it's because like it works off of sort of like a linear concept of time.
Yeah, of course.
Where like sort of like if you look at it as sort of like, this is probably going to age me, but like a tape in like a VCR, and then you just cut out a section, tape it back together, and then start playing it again.
Yeah, I mean it's the easiest, you know. It's just the skip button on the VCR. And don't worry. I've used it before too, so
yeah, it's and on top of that, the design of King Crimson is unsettling as shit.
Oh, angry boy! I love him so much.
He's so fucking uncanny, and it's this weird fucking unnerving aspect. And I think on top of that, on top of just King Crimson, Diapolo, like that whole interaction with him and Diavolo is so unsettling.
Man,
it's fucking hilarious, but it's also really fucking terrifying. Like when he starts doing the
hey, you have a phone.
Yeah, and then it just picks up random objects like they're goddamn like a telephone. It's like, holy fuck.
Because not only is the boss of a gang have one of the most powerful stands in the world that can affect time, he's also crazy.
Yeah, and part of me is like, I don't know if I necessarily buy that, you know, because to be like a leader of this like very intricate organization, I mean, I feel like having that unhinged quality won't help you too much.
Well,
I was gonna say maybe because what I was picking up from Diavolo and how like he has this his personality that he hides within in his host body is that because with the gang, like no one knew what the boss looked like or where he was at any given time, but if they ever stepped out of line, they would feel like almost immediate repercussions. And because like he's essentially the boss is this personality, this identity hiding within this sort of shell body of another person's mind, they can just come through at any point and no one know what he looks like because he's hiding within this other person's body. Because when he switches personalities, his body changes, his look changes. So when he goes from boss mode to hidden mode, no one would know it. It would happen instantaneously. He would just activate King Crimson, cut off time, and then
all right,
and they're fucked. And then they go down.
You guys
the road.
about to throw me into theory mode right now.
Yeah, and that sort of concept gives Diavolo this omnipresence that is, I keep saying, terrifying.
Yeah,
like because you don't know, and then part of that is kind of ruined by the introduction of him and Diapolo. However, like I feel like that would happen no matter what, based on how it's set up.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to think for a second what I was gonna say. Yeah, like, I don't know. I like Pat said, I just like that was because he only turns into Doppio when he's when he's in danger or traveling or whatever. And like Doppio is technically his own. I mean, he is his own person because he's also part of the L'Unità Speciale, which is the elite guard of Diavolo. And oh man, I like just that. Like, and that's okay. I said theory mode. Here we go. I'm gonna go right into it. It's funny. It's funny that you say that you were earlier mentioning how like that's kind of strange to have that. But if you remember, in one of the episodes when they're introducing Doppio, he was born in a prison. And he was born in a prison to a woman who had never had contact with a man. So like, and the thing is, that scene was not in the manga. That was only in the anime, and Araki approved it. And there was some stuff that was also changed from the manga into the anime. Like whenever Doppio is about to turn to Diavolo when he's choking that fortune teller or whatever, his eyes turn black. That was never in the manga. And then also when he, if I can remember, Diavolo exclusively, like towards the end, is speaking through King Crimson, and also.
Well, even when he first gets introduced, he's mostly talking through King Crimson.
Yeah, and that was something else too. Is that if you noticed, I don't know. I think they changed this. I cannot remember for the life of me. But Bucciarati, whenever he gets put into Diavolo's body, his eyes change. They're not like King Crimson eyes. They're like Bucciarati's eyes, and that they're like regular brown or whatever. That was something else that was different too. And there's this theory that Diavolo, obviously from his name, is actually a demon or the devil, and it's kind of crazy.
And a lot of times I got the impression that Diavolo was King Crimson.
That's the thing is that like,
and King Crimson is like he's a stand, but he's something else.
There was one theory that somebody put out that maybe King Crimson is a stand that took possession of Doppio when he was a child, but that wasn't really too sound. The reason why I go the demonic route is because possession, like the signs of it, like the black eyes, the changing physical form and stuff. What people think is that at some point when Doppio, was born, that this demon or the devil itself was in Doppio, inhabiting him, and then at some point, because this demon was so prevalent in the body that it was able to get its own physical manifestation, which we see as Diavolo or the boss currently, the one with the long pink hair, and that Doppio, the version that we see, is the original, and that's something also that's crazy too, is that eventually this demon got hit, possibly by the stand, or he got hit by the stand arrow, and this is like essentially a demon with a stand, like that like that's just insane. And the reason why this points a lot to that is because Diavolo's name is Diavolo, which just means devil in Italian, and King Crimson is also another name for the devil, or Crimson King, because the album, or sorry, not the album, the band King Crimson and their album Core of the Crimson King, usually Crimson King refers to kings who were like very war hungry, bloodthirsty, and that also refers to the devil as well. So, boom, theory.
I mean, pretty sound, but yeah, like I think Diavolo is. While I think he is a little weaker than, say, Kira or Dio, in my opinion, still really fucking strong.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, like I said. And one thing I will say about Part 5 is, I mean, granted, part of that is because, we sort of went deeper into it. I imagine, like, with other, like, especially Part 4, we could probably have very similar discussions. But it is one of the more interesting parts to talk about.
You're goddamn right, but they're all. I will say too, Jonathan. Originally, before Part 5, Part 4 was my favorite, and every reason that you listed was the same reasons. But Part 5 took that spot for me. But Part 4 is just as close. Great, good fucking choice, man.
Yeah, and so yeah, for me, it's in order 4, 5, 2, 3, 1.
Oh, nice.
Because part 1's kind of boring.
And it's very short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of awesome moments in part 1, but you know, it kind of part 1 starts out interesting and ends really good, but then like that middle is dead.
Yes, thank you. God.
Because like, and it sucks too because there's a lot of characters in part 1 I love, like Speedwagon and Zappelli, but they don't get a lot to do.
Yeah. Nah.
And plus, we don't know the biggest question in part 1. How did Jack the Ripper get inside that horse?
How did he get inside the horse? We don't know.
We don't know.
He just jumps out of the fucking...
Also,
I love this fucking show. It's so fucking weird.
it's bizarre.
Yes. And then part 2, I really love Joseph. Joseph's awesome and fun. I do have a couple gripes with part 2.
What could those be, Jonathan? What could those be?
Y'all probably know. Well, I'll start with the minor one. And I wish we got more from Lisa because Lisa's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of, sort of just doesn't really do much because,
for being, the master of discipline that they're learning that has been introduced.
Oh, man.
We don't really see her get to show off.
You're right.
Yeah. Like I would have loved to see a fight with her in Cars. But the biggest issue I have with part 2 is fucking Stroheim.
Is that all?
and the existence of that character. Like, you take one element away from that character, he's really entertaining and really fun. But he's a literal Nazi, and he's a good guy. That's a problem.
Yeah,
What the fuck, Rocky?
that was something I remember complaining to Colt about. I was like, fuck. Sorry. Like that was my reaction. I was like, what do we do about this?
Yeah, and there are people who like will get turned off from JoJo because of that, and it sucks because that is so early on. But they're like, the way JoJo set up, you can start at any other point. It's just like, God damn it, Iraqi.
Yeah.
And the way it's sort of structured, it makes it seem like they're sort of like how he uses the violence against dogs to sort of make the villain seem more evil.
Bastards.
Like in part 2, it feels like having the Nazis, having the good guys literally team up with the Nazis to beat, the Pillar Men, it is like this juxtaposition between it's like, even if the Nazis are not as evil as the Pillar Men, but even then, like I just don't buy that.
Yeah, because I mean, what was it? It was like at the end, Strauheim. It was like Joseph was like, "Oh, I don't know if he said, I don't know whatever happened to Strauheim, whatever, but like he was like he died a proud German, like
Yeah, he died in Stalingrad like a proud
like
warrior
okay,
that.
but there's a difference between a German and a Nazi, like. And he was a fucking Nazi. They all were.
Yeah. And then once, like, Joseph gets his new arm, he's like, oh, this is the power of Nazi technology. And it's like, oh, fuck, really?
They could have...
Because that is not true. That's such a fucking myth. But that's getting into, like, real life stuff.
If they wanted to maybe do something with his character, they could have had, have him start one way and then, reject his sort of bigotry and then become that be part of his character. Like, he starts off as this heinous military general, and then you realize over the course of this struggle against a bigger evil, it's like, oh, I was wrong in my thinking. I am now just a warrior who fights for justice. But yeah. I mean, that's a lot of playing on your end of the character of the that's a lot of basically headcanon. So
and then on top of that, it's just, and part of it too, I get Nazi Japan had a very different relationship with the Nazis than we do. However, knowing Japan and how they and I say this and it's going to sound judgmental, but America has done a lot of bad shit, and in some cases far worse. However, Japanese war crimes and Nazi war crimes in World War II were really fucking awful.
Yeah, they're like,
and they're still being, and like in Japan, they're still being denied.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like there's a book I read that was about the Japanese war crimes, and some would even say that their war crimes, at least against their prisoners of war, were worse than the Nazis, because apparently even the Nazis uphold Geneva Convention when it came to their prisoners of war.
yeah.
Because
it's really weird reading that stuff because like you said, it's like they treated their prisoners of war better, and they're Nazis, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to come at this from like an American exceptionalist perspective, because America has done a lot of really bad shit, and I'm not trying to play.
Of course not. This is literally something I was thinking of last night after I watched Come and See. I was like, man, Nazis did some terrible shit, and so did America, and so did Japan, and so did the Soviet Union, and so many other empires and nations across history have done terrible shit. Nobody is squeaky clean, and people need to, and people should know that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's that being said, I still like part 2. But besides the weird Nazi stuff, which is really fucking annoying too, because like I said, besides Nazi stuff, Stroheim is a really entertaining character. And his music in the anime is hype as shit.
Ew, man. It's really...
But you can't shake the fact that this guy's a goddamn Nazi. It's like, not only he's a Nazi, he's a fucking robot Nazi.
Yeah.
It's like, what the
I constantly forget about that in part 5. Or not part 5, part 2. Part 2 was, like you said, good, but that shit, like, that just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, but thankfully he's not that big of a character, really. And doesn't play too much of a role. But, yeah. All that to say, though, JoJo is easily jumped into one of my favorite animes of all time.
Goddamn right.
And yeah, at some point in the near future, I really want to do just an episode where we deep dive into each part.
And we already have part 5 out of the way.
Yeah, but who knows? We might do it again.
I mean, hell, yeah, we have Jonathan now, so might as well.
So what I've been doing behind the scenes between the show, the first thing being is I made a new drink to celebrate the summer, which I've been imbibing the whole show, and that I made the new classic Summer Pat.
What's in the Summer Pat?
It's super easy. You can make it at home, and I strongly encourage that you do. The Summer Pat is that you take 3 parts Malibu, 2 parts Ocean Spray Tropical Cranberry Juice, and 1 part lemonade. And you mix it together, you got yourself a fine sipping drink. And plus, if your hand slips in any of those 3, that's perfectly fine, because mine definitely slipped at the Malibu portion. it seems I'm very clumsy when it comes to the Malibu on certain days of the week.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, Pat, you should fix that.
My shakes only come in when it comes to when I'm making myself a drink at the end of the day. But yeah, that's something I've been enjoying, and I think the rest of the house has been too. Jonathan's been experimenting with the little mix making himself.
Yeah, I made something last night that was lit.
What would you call that one?
Fuck if I know. John Berry's.
John Berry's.
yeah, make yourself a John Berry. One of the big things I've been doing is that I've been on a horror kick this month. I got a subscription to Shudder, which is a horror exclusive streaming service, and I've been sort of going through there. And just between that and Netflix, I've been checking out a few different horror movies, all to varying levels of quality. But that's been the fun part. Start of the month, we watched the Iranian horror film A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yeah, all 4 of us sat down and watched that.
And there's a contentious reaction to it. The room was split.
Yes. Me and Pat liked it.
And Liz
didn't love it.
Did not enjoy it at all.
Yeah, I remember these 2 telling us in chat about it, and I remember looking it up, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of neat. And Pat told me I would probably like it, so I'm very excited to get a chance to watch it, but that doesn't surprise me about them.
No, they have very different tastes than we do when it comes to just movies in general.
And especially with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, because it's a very slow, atmospheric film.
It's very meditative. It's not like
it's very ponderous in just how it's plot. There's not a lot of dialogue, and it's very much like, it sounds kind of like silly, but like a very visual movie. It's sort of like meant to take in what you see and think about it. It's contemplative, and it's very, not surreal, but like it's very like dreamlike in a state, because there's not a lot of concrete plot to it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a bunch of events kind of hastily sewn together. And
to me, one of the big things is just like isolationism. How like just like, if you ever have that feeling when you're like out in the city or in a town late at night and you're alone, that's to me the biggest feeling that the movie conveys the strongest. Mm-hmm. And the movie is like technically amazing, just like cinematography and working within a black and white palette. Like it's superb. It has a wonderful soundtrack.
Oh yeah, there's a one really long scene in the movie towards the end, I think, where it's just this guy and the girl in a room, and it's a single take, and it's not like it's not a super technical single take, but in the background is playing a song by White Lies, and it's really fucking good.
All right.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a beautiful movie. It just will not be for everyone.
Yeah, and the thing is like our issues with the movie are basically the same as Liz and Cannon's. It just, those issues didn't really bother us as much.
Like, it's a slow movie. We both said it's almost on the end of being too slow even for us.
Yeah.
But like that's just some people think, some people enjoy like a very deliberately paced movie, and this is very much that.
And I will say, you need to know going in, even though this movie is on Shudder, I hesitate to call it a horror movie.
It's not scary. It's just,
or at least not what most people think of a horror movie. It's more akin to the art house side of movies.
It's very
okay.
art house.
Yeah, like even more art house than, say, I would argue a lot of A24 movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But it's still, I think this movie is still worth watching. Your mileage will definitely vary.
I said it on Letterboxd, but my attitude still stands. We need more Iranian vampire women on skateboards.
I'm like, I don't know. You guys made it really exciting. I've been really wanting to delve into more like Middle Eastern like films in general. Just that.
Because like we really don't, like, at least in the West, there's not a lot of exposure.
There was one movie that we were going to get at the Bama Theater, Tel Aviv on Fire, that we were wanting to see. We just never got a chance to.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a movie that came out like a couple years ago, but for the early part of the year, we have a local art house theater that opens and shows some art house movies, and that was one of them. And I think that movie was Israeli.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So
that reminds me. Oh man, there was a movie I bought, Criterion, that from the director and from its premise, I was like, okay, I have to watch this. I have to get it physical. It's called Taste of Cherry, and it's by a director named Abbas Kiarostami, and it's about a man who wants to commit suicide, and it's very taboo in Islam. But he has to like essentially take a journey to do it, and on his journey he meets like a few people, and I think this is based off of like a folk tale that like this is his retelling of that, and like I'm very excited to watch this, and just from what I've heard of his filmography, it's just fantastic. So fuck me. I know another film I watched. Sorry, I'm so sorry to take this away from Pat. But I have to, because we were bringing up Middle Eastern, I watched a film called Synonyms, and it's a French film, and it's about a man who's Israeli coming to France, and it's just kind of like a view or like a discussion on like the Israeli French not interaction. It's a really good dialogue on that kind of I can't think of a good word. It's really good. Check that out. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. The first one I did actually watch on Shudder was a movie called Blood Quantum.
Oh, I've heard about that.
It's probably one of my favorites that I watched this month so far. And it's essentially a zombie movie, but it takes place in the 80s in Canada on an indigenous reservation. And what the big gimmick of the movie is that all the indigenous people are immune to the zombie virus. So they're able to, like, you know, they can take a bite and not get infected, but of course that doesn't help them if they get like overrun by a zombie and just like torn apart physically. But like, it's a really interesting story because, one, how often do you see horror movies or movies in general that have like a predominantly like person of color cast?
Yeah, and especially centering around indigenous people.
So like it's made by indigenous people, indigenous person, I believe. And it's a really fun movie. There's a lot of great like special effects and gore effects. There's one scene right when the shit starts to hit the fan that I was like, oh fuck, this was really cool. And it's about these two half brothers and their sort of relationship because they have a father, but he was the sperm donor of one, and he's the actual father of another. And one sort of like had a more stable upbringing, and the other did not. And sort of them sort of finding each other by happenstance and like trying to like, hey, we're brothers. We should probably help each other out. And so they're sort of very difficult relationship, and also the struggle with this indigenous group is rather small, and they're sort of responsible for trying to help take care of the survivors. Of course, you know, all survivors are mostly white, so like there's this animosity there that's intense because like they were, you know, disparaged for hundreds of years, and now they kind of like are being made to help them.
Yeah.
And so there's an interesting tension there, and the movie's based off in part of this incident in the 80s where this reservation was raided by police, and there was a lot of violence against them. So that's a lot of interesting sort of real world implications there. And to me, one of the most unusual but still very interesting parts of the film is the inclusion of like these animated sequences, because they act like kind of like weird bookmarks in the film. They're very surreal and symbolic of what's happening at that point in the story, and it's a very interesting juxtaposition how these scenes are inserted in the film, and it's like it's not necessarily a detriment, but it can be very jarring when you get to these animated moments. Overall, I think the film's very strong, has a lot of interesting things to say. It's just fun. I will say the end, it gets a little clunky, and there's a really weird plot hole at the very end. It's not so much a spoiler because basically there's I'll say there's 5 people left at the very end, and what happens is 3 are on the beach and they're met by 2 others on the boat and they escape. But at a certain point, when it cuts back to these characters over little passages of time, 2 of them are just gone, and it makes no mention what happened to them.
Oh,
so it's like there's just no explanation what happened to these 2 other characters, as they're just gone.
oh, they just jumped off. They swam.
Just poof. Also, I will say there is one character in the film. It's the main character's grandfather, who is literally the most badass character in the film, because it takes place in the 80s, so it's implied that he's like a World War II veteran because he has a katana and he's just killing people left and right, like or the zombie. He's so badass, and plus his real life name is badass too. His real name is Stonemason Lone Goman.
What the fuck? Okay, that's awesome.
And he has a sequence at the end of the film where his sequence is animated and he's killing the zombies, and it's fucking amazing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I would definitely recommend this.
Hell
one.
yeah. I think I remember you saying something about Blood Quantum. I remember hearing good things about it. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Something I was gonna say before, though, I occasionally get on Letterboxd and I like to see what everybody's been watching, and I just see Pat jumping all around with these horror movies, and I get kind of discouraged because I see like his I'll see his star ratings. I'm like, oh man, dang Pat, going through the ringer.
Well, I will say the next couple, they were clunky, one more so than the other, but at least one was like, this is really weird, but it's still enjoyable. Like the next one I watched was Dark Forces, which is a Spanish language horror film that was recently added to Netflix. Like, it's so new, I was literally the first person to review it.
Oh, wow.
Like, there's obviously had been ratings, but they had 0 reviews before I added mine.
Fuck.
And I'll say this, I was piss drunk when I watched this movie, and even then I was like, this movie makes so goddamn sense. It's obviously very inspired by film noir, and it's trying very hard to be like this very moody, atmospheric film noir mystery, but like it's mostly just incoherent. And like if you watch Narcos Mexico, you might recognize the main character because he was also in that show as well. His name is Tenoch Huerta. He's the main character. He's just a very sort of like stoic and brooding character. He's looking for his sister, and he ends up in this hotel, and that's kind of where all these mysteries converge. And it's just really bizarre, and like it feel like it tries to be like contemplative and like and evocative with a lot of weird imagery, but it just kind of just feels random. Like the first person he meets and sort of like looking for his sister is like this dwarf woman, and she sort of gives him this weird cryptic warning. And then like whenever he has a dream or there's like a weird spacey moment, there's like you just see the dwarf woman kind of like floating in ephemera in a negligee, and it doesn't really mean anything.
I'm thinking this woman is just literally floating like through space.
I mean, like it's in space, and she's got like this onesie nightgown, and there's like this weird blue energy, and she's just sort of like she's floating underwater, and it's just bizarre. He meets this like waitress / high-end escort with like this inexplicable 1950s curly hairdo. I guess because it's film noir, you think of the 50s, I guess. And then like,
even though the height of film noir was in the 30s, but that's beside the point.
Or something, and then.
Not to be a well, actually.
Oh, you're gonna fucking pull your pedantry right now?
Yes.
Well, actually,
You gotta adjust your glasses there.
That's what I was doing to Cody when we were talking about Lord of the Rings.
God.
It's just weird. Like there's one point where like she's trying like, oh, I need a man to save me, and then they have like lifeless on his end, just like butt sex.
What?
Like they just go from kissing, and he just immediately starts like, oh, I'm just pounding her in the butt now.
Thanks, Pat.
There's something to do with like a creepy old man, and like he ends up killing the main character, ends up killing him, and then the man spits up this weird energy, like this weird demonic lamprey in his mouth. It's fucking bizarre.
You're telling me this guy met this person once and they went right into anal?
Essentially,
Man,
that's a level of trust.
yeah. I mean, don't like.
hey, standards are different. Butt sex is first base nowadays.
I guess. I mean, I mean, you're still virgin if you do it in the butt.
Okay, I guess. Continue, Pat.
The movie is bonkers. I would still say it's worth the watch. Just how like fucking screwball it is.
It sounds like someone watched Twin Peaks and didn't get it.
They only got like the surface level. This is weird. Let me just make weird shit.
But I mean,
honestly, that is basically Twin Peaks. But.
I mean, and plus I did think it was weird because, like I said, this is a Spanish language film. And the movie is called Dark Forces. In Spanish it's Fuego Negro, which literally is black fire. But I thought, I mean, I'm not fluent in Spanish in any way, so I don't know if that's also an applicable translation. But what makes it weird is that they use Fuego Negro throughout the film, but they translate it as black fire.
oh,
But I don't know why they didn't choose that for the title of the film. Just like, because to me, Black Fire sounds more interesting than Dark Forces, which sounds like the most generic thing.
I 100%
oh yeah,
agree.
Black Fire sounds awesome. You know what? If it would have been called Black Fire, I think your review would have been a little higher.
I give it another half star. It would be up to 2, maybe. It was still butt-fuck crazy, and I don't mean literally.
Fuck.
The next one was Random Acts of Violence, also on Shudder. The second directorial effort by Jay Baruchel of How to Train Your Dragon fame.
What the fuck?
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is his second film, and he's in the film. And this one was more actually bad because it's to me, I love the premise and what the overall message of the film is, because the premise is a struggling comic book artist and is traveling across country to conventions, and in the process trying to help him get the inspiration he needs to finish the last issue of his best-selling horror comic book Slasher Man. And over the course of it, there's someone who starts to replicate the murders within his comic, and he has to like figure out what's going on. And the general message of the film is what role do creators play when someone takes inspiration from their work and produces like an act of violence or an act of tragedy, like, you know, how there was a school shooter who loved Marilyn Manson, and then people started to backlash against Marilyn Manson because this one awful person just happened to have affinity for his music. And I feel like that's an interesting concept.
Oh yeah, no, like that's good, and like that also, you know, that's the same thing. Also, like, like the used to, they would blame it on like you've been that one. I think that one shooter played Doom, the old Doom, and they like, you know, they blamed it on Doom, or like
Kombat,
you know, playing Mortal Kombat or GTA, you know, blaming it on these video games. Yeah, I get that.
And then also they would either blame it on Marilyn Manson, Rammstein, or
metal music.
Yeah, it was a lot of like late 90s.
You know, like on creators, on like violent media, and like there's not. I feel like that's not exactly a wrong place to think, or not a wrong place to sort of think about. But man, this movie's just clunky. And I said it on Twitter before. I don't know if Mandy was their first horror movie to really use like hyper saturated neon color filters in a film. But goddamn, ever since it came out, I've been seeing that shit everywhere. Because like it's really bad in this one, because not only does it have different random moments like hyper neon color magenta, but also strobe lights on top of it. So there's a portion of this movie I'm just like turned away from the screen, because like I'm not an epileptic, but like just like strobe lights make me very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, it's you know, even if you're not epileptic, it could be disorienting, or it could just be hard to watch.
Yeah,
I get that.
It just like you physically have to turn away because your brain is hurting.
And then, you know, kids are like, there's something important happening, but you can't tell because you're like, just, and you can miss something important if you just have, if like this arbitrary effect is sort of inhibiting the film. And also, I just thought it was weird that Jordana Brewster of Fast and Furious fame is in this movie. And it's like, girl, you've been in big picture films. What are you doing in this flick?
Hey, Jordana.
Yeah, I think she did a pretty good job, because I would say the main character, the comic artist, he's a piece of shit. Because, like, Jordana Brewster, she's, like, being so patient with him. Like, it's okay, babe, because she plays his girlfriend. It's like, it's okay, babe, you did a really great job. You know, it's okay if you're taking longer with this issue. People still love you. You know, you take your time you need. And then she's like,
get off my ass.
Basically, well, no, he's very appreciative that she's helping him. But then when she was like, okay, I'm also working on a project, babe. I'm doing a not a novel, but like a book about the real life victims that your comic book murder is based off of. And he's like, yeah, I think this would be a nice sort of like project we could work on together. It's like, you did the fictional version, I do the real version, and it's like, what do you think about that? Do you have any tips? And just like, I don't know, it sounds okay, I guess. And he's just being such a unreciprocated shithead.
That sounds like that would be a good companion piece.
Yeah, like it's a cool concept,
but he's so insecure about it. I'm like, fuck off, dude. Then of course the bad guy, he shows up and he starts killing people like they do in the comic. And I'm gonna say, no offense to whoever did the art for the comic in this movie, but it looks butt ugly. And there's these weird bits at the beginning and kind of at the end where there's CG and it's meant to invoke what a comic book looks like, but it just looks bad. It's some pretty, whatever budget they had for the film, they didn't really put enough into those CG moments because they did not look good. One of the biggest problems, other than it just feels really clunky and weird, is that I was very confused as to why we kept getting these like flashbacks of like a little black boy and his mother at Christmas. I mean, you obviously know that they're one of the murderer's victims, but I kept thinking, why do we keep seeing this family? Why does it keep flashing back to this? And then apparently at the end, it's revealed, spoilers, I guess, that the little black boy is the main character all grown up. But why that doesn't track is because the main character he's mixed race. He's half black, half white, but he's light complected and he has blue eyes. And the little black boy is a little black boy is very dark complected and has dark eyes. So we're supposed to believe this little boy grew up to be a light-skinned man with blue eyes. Like, it does not track at all. It doesn't even really track in the story. Like, to me, that didn't come across at all. I just like, why do we keep seeing this scene? I kind of think, like, is this the villain, like, having this weird connection to his first murder? Because I think that's what that whole thing was, is like that like the murderer killing the mother, that was his first murder. It was a fucking movie. But, man, because I wouldn't even say watch it if I'm like, oh, this is bad. It's just like, it was just in some ways physically painful because of the fucking strobe lights and the neon bullshit. Man, that was something. Shudder original of Random Acts of Violence. And the last horror movie I saw was Girl on the Third Floor, which is on Netflix. It's starring former WWE wrestler CM Punk as the main character. And this movie was something else. Because this movie is technically very strong. It's shot very well. Has these really interesting like composition shots when they kind of focus on like a scene or a hallway or like an object. I think that sort of invites some interesting thinking. Practical effects are very strong as well when it comes to like sort of the spookier portions. Like because it's a combination of a body horror film and a haunted house. But some of the things they get into with the body horror are really interesting because spoiler alert for a Girl on the Third Floor, I have never in my life seen more cum in a movie than I have in this film.
Jesus.
Because the house in the movie was originally like a house of ill repute. It was something of a bawdy house, if you will, where gentlemen would go meet
Ladies of the evening.
And,
brothel.
Yes, where CM Punk's character he buys the house in order to help sort of give his marriage a new start because he was a big shot lawyer in Chicago, and for whatever reason I just felt like, of course, CM Punk, he would have to put in his characters from Chicago because for those who don't know, CM Punk is very well known for being like, I'm from Chicago. He's very famous for being very proud of where he's from.
Chicago Bulls.
Because the movie's like 90 minutes. The first hour is principally him dealing with the shit that happens in the house, and it starts like weird spooky shit, like things moving, or the big thing is like these weird marbles. Whenever a marble starts rolling around the floor or bouncing in the hall, bad shit's about to happen. And so basically it's just sort of him sort of slowly going like crazy over like what the hell is going on with this house, but also dealing with the fact that there's like this girl who really wants to fuck him who just shows up on his doorstep. And so like he was already in trouble with his wife because on top of scamming his clients out of millions of dollars in Chicago, he also cheated on his wife while she was pregnant.
Wow.
And so you have like this mysterious girl who's like just thirsty for CM Punk's dick. Also, I think it's funny that his dog is like anti-horny. Like every time CM Punk wants to like play with his dick or like have sex with a stranger woman, he starts like, no. He just starts barking, no. It's like fucking in this house, no horny.
No horny.
You're going to horny jail.
Then eventually he just locks the dog outside and again does his dirty deed.
Damn.
And it's just weird because there's just so much cum in this movie, y'all. Because like literally he goes to like plug in a electric drill, and right before he does, you literally just see cum ooze out of the light socket. And God, there's a great bit because there's literally a money shot in this movie.
I mean,
are you making this
I
up?
expected that.
No, hand to God, go watch it yourself because you see him like, oh, I'm sure I'm all hot and sweaty if I'm like working on the house all day. I'm gonna get a shower, and then he turns on the knob. You just hear it like the water rumbling. It's like, okay, what's it gonna do? And then blam, face full of cum. Just splooge shoots out of the shower and he falls.
Did I miss something? Have I been listening? I am like, I don't know. I don't believe you, Pat. This isn't real.
I promise you it's real. And I swear to God, there's even the bit where, like I said, whenever the marbles show up, because there's like I won't give the whole thing away.
You just did. To me, you sold me.
I mean, because like there is an interesting element to it. Like I said, it's very well made. It's just it can be really like all the cum. Every time there was cum, it's like you're fucking kidding me. Like I just screamed cum whenever it showed up on TV, because like I said, the marble foretells doom in the house. And there was one bit where a marble comes out of a light socket, but I swear to God, you just see these two like fleshy lids spit out a marble. I was like, was that a pussy in that wall that just spat out a marble?
Or was it a butthole and it was anal?
It's open for interpretation, because you just see like it looks like two flaps of skin and like a light socket just spit out a marble.
All right.
And then there's a big crescendo where like CM Punk is just fed up with all the bullshit, with all the spooky hauntings, all the like the thirst trap ghosts or whatever. And then he starts like taking a hammer to the wall and just like bashing the holes wall. And every time he does, there's a corresponding reaction inside the house. Like all these holes shoot out of the wall. There's one where blood shoots out of the sink. There's one where like literally a pillar of cum shoots out of the floor. Like the floor just nutted right there.
Wow.
It's something else. Watch it for the cum, I say.
Wow. I
Pat,
can only respond with Owen Wilson. Wow.
Pat, it sounds like you watched a porno.
I'm not convinced I didn't. Because it's weird. Like I said, it's a body horror and a haunted house. And also, the body horror is the haunted house in certain respects. Because there's like some actual body horror when it comes to like when CM Punk has to like try to cut a marble out of his body, which is like, whoa. But also I thought the whole time, you dumbass, just cut ahead of the marble, because like the marble's not moving that fast when it's out of his skin, but he's literally just dragging a utility knife through his leg. It's like, dude, just go over the marble and stop it right there. You're going too slow, stupid.
Fuck.
Some people on Letterboxd, they were kind of dunking on CM Punk's acting. Like, he's not the worst actor, but I don't think he's like, I don't feel like I wasn't put off by his acting. He's very expressive in his face.
Yeah, I mean,
that comes from being a wrestler.
And also he's getting blasted with cum.
And a lot of people kind of compared it to like early Bruce Campbell. How he's like very physically expressive and this is a very small thing, but I just thought it was funny how CM Punk in real life is a very avowed straight edge person. Like, he does not drink, doesn't imbibe, no vices at all. Yeah. That's just part of his lifestyle. But in the movie, he's a drunk who's sort of relapsed, and he's drinking it more and more as the movie goes on. But because he's a wrestler, he takes his shirt off a lot. He wants to show, I'm a hot dude. But he literally has a tattoo on his stomach that says straight edge. And like all of his wrestler tattoos uncovered up. So like he's just knocking back all these beers, and you just see on his tummy straight edge. It's like, did they just not think to cover that up or something?
Probably not, Pat.
Probably not. I'm just thinking about it. Like, I don't know. Just a house full of cum.
Watch it for the cum. That
I'm glad the dog's outside now. I will say that.
Yeah, I guess maybe a bit of a heads up. We talked about JoJo and there being like bad luck for dogs. There might be a bad luck for a dog in this movie too. Just a heads up.
Fuck. God damn it. I shouldn't be surprised. It's about a movie with a bunch of cum.
And like also just saying, if there's a dog in a horror movie, you kind of know what to expect.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I also call cum nonsense. Heads up. Just a bunch of nonsense.
But that's what personally I've been up to. Although I did want to kind of get into like what's some of the stuff that's happened around us, because Tuscaloosa got in the news because there's a monkey. There's some kind of underground monkey ring in Tuscaloosa.
There was just some fucker. Like, this is on what road was this? It was over there in front of the University Mall.
Like McFarland Boulevard?
McFarland Boulevard, yeah. There was a car, and then somebody just took this video of this car, window open, a fucking monkey on a leash, in a shirt, just hanging out. Not hanging out, but like, hanging out, like, looking out and stuff. And like, this is in Tuscaloosa. Like,
Like the monkey has
Man.
like a little like Alabama football like baby onesie on, and like I'm just, where the fuck do you get a monkey in Alabama?
If Tiger King has taught us anything, it's not that hard to find exotic animals.
And you know what? I forgot about that rule in Tiger King that it's much more easy than it should be to get exotic animals, especially when it comes to dangerous exotic animals.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, by no means is a monkey relatively dangerous. It has thumbs. It has thumbs, so that makes it like, 90% dangerous. If any animal has thumbs, it's automatically on level with us. Just saying. So, that's like most of primates.
I'm trying to think what kind of monkey it was. Like it's one of those the smaller species. It's got a tail, maybe a capuchin monkey.
It's not going to get any bigger. It's like, yeah, it's literally just a small species of monkey, and it's a kind also too that you see like mostly in movies and stuff, or like it's like a common you kind of see in like pop culture or whatever. It man, and it was also in a muscle car too. The guy was driving a muscle car. I could tell by the side of the door and stuff. And it's like, so this guy obviously is has some cash.
Flashed some cash to get that monkey.
Or flashing
Man.
a monkey to get some cash.
It might
That
be
was
a cyclical
insane.
effect. And another thing that I discovered this week is that apparently we're not the only game in town anymore. Apparently there's another podcast in town. And,
Oh, yeah.
And they have a billboard in town. I'm like, first of all, who would have thought to advertise a podcast on a billboard? But there's one out there now.
All right, for all you listeners out there, you're gonna get on your little secret. We have an operation going on to find out all podcasts currently in Tuscaloosa. This data, this information, what we're gonna do with it? Well, top secret.
I mean, I'm very curious now of like, one, just like how many like podcasts are being made within our own town, but also like how many podcasts are set in our state, because like I'm kind of curious to be like, what's the Alabama coalition of podcasts? I'm like, part of me is kind of like excited. Oh, we get to meet our contemporaries, and I have to think like that might come with a lot of bugs, because like we can't guarantee that anybody else in our state is going to be on our level, so to speak. And then that's not like an egotistical thing. It's just sort of like our sort of same mind frame.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's. I totally understand what you're saying, and I was thinking the same thing too. I'm curious, but also I'm kind of like, well.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're the only game in town or only people in town with progressive views. That's obviously not true, but it's just it's the risk you run sometimes. That sort of like, it's something you have to accept living in the South, is that of course there's always going to be people who are progressively aligned and who want the best for everybody in the world, and including marginalized groups. But like there's a lot of people that don't, and that's just a fact we have to live with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That is an unfortunate nature of where we live. But I also at the same time I don't want to forget there are people like us out there who share our mindset. So
yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic and interested in exploring Alabama podcast scene.
Understandable.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say earlier when I fucked up talking about Synonyms, that movie, the movie Synonyms is by an Israeli director, Nadav Lapid. It came out last year, and what I said about it, I had to look at my tweet about it. It is a chaotic and vibrant political statement about Israel and contemporary French society, and there you go. So yeah.
Okay.
Watch it. It was on, if you have a Criterion Channel subscription, you can watch it on there. I think it's rentable on Amazon Video, if you want to do that as well.
Also, if you're the fifth person to retweet this episode's tweet when it comes out, you get Wenzel's Criterion Channel login.
What the fuck? Don't do that, Pat. No.
Pat, you canceled.
It's an incentive for the listeners.
Oh, man. Something else I was going to say, too. Another movie I watched. I know, I'm sorry I'm going back to movies, but I forgot because it's actually leaving the service, the Criterion Channel service on the at the end of the month. It's Cannabis, and it's a movie, documentary style about the real life cannibal who's still alive. In Japan, his name is let me find it. Issei Sagawa, and it was like it was the longest 90 fucking minutes ever, but it was pretty damn good. So
that's kind of terrifying.
yeah, I mean that's the thing that made it actually kind of good is that this guy he's a cannibal, he's a murderer, but then when you watch this, it's like he's just he's ill. He's in a he's not he's old. He's old and he's not feeble or sorry, he's feeble or like he's just he's not as terrifying, when they portray him, and that's obviously kind of the point, I guess. But then also, there's kind of like controversy. It's like, well, this guy is a monster. What do you do about that? You're giving this guy a spotlight. But give it a watch if you can handle a very, very slow, not even a burn. It's just so slow.
So I got two more things to talk about. One is really fun, and the other one's really depressing. So should I start with the depressing one first?
Take us to the valley before you take us to the peak.
Okay.
Yeah.
So been listening to some new music lately. And I was on YouTube just fucking around and came across this album. It's called Everywhere at the End of Time by The Caretaker. It is really fucking heavy. The impetus for this album is basically... It's actually not even a single album. It's a collection of 6 albums, and it's like 6.5 hours that uses... old like 1920s, 30s, 40s ballroom type of music samples, but distorts them in a way as to have an artistic expression of the mental degradation of someone with Alzheimer's. And if you can handle something like that, both from the just fucking length of it, because it is 6.5 hours, but also too, it is like just from the description, really fucking heavy. I highly suggest you listen. It starts out like the first couple albums. There's a little bit of like some of the songs are definitely slowed down. There's a little bit of skipping here and there. Like a note might be like, say, like a semitone sharp or something like that. But starting with the third disc or the third album, and then as it goes, it sort of devolves by the end to this like dark ambient drone album. And each album is apparently a reflection of each stage of Alzheimer's, and they all have like, all the songs have like depressing titles and stuff like that. Highly recommend. Really fucking dark, but really fucking good.
All right.
And what there will be like, I know there's one like main motif that plays through all of them, but but as it goes further and further along, it gets stretched out or broken up or put into a different, darker context. So yeah, that's a thing.
Hell yeah, definitely check that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and like, it's like I said, it is a lot. It's 6.5 hours, and it's, like I said, it's all instrumental samples from like
different decades.
Yeah, from an older time, like, these old like ballroom type of jazzy pop,
big band.
Yeah, big
probably.
band type of things. So that might not be to everyone's taste, but. And then, sort of to pick up from that, will be started watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's really fun.
Oh wow, nerd alert! Get him, nerd alert!
Says the guy who knows more about Tolkien than I do.
Live long and prosper, bitches. My name is Spock. Look at me, I've these stupid ears. Oh, look at me, I'm Spock.
That's the wrong Star Trek.
Oh, look at me, I can split my fingers together to make this cool Vulcan symbol gesture. Nerd.
I think we need to have a Tolkien showdown that prove their metal. Who's the real Tolkiener?
I completely forgot how much I knew about anything Tolkien. I forgot that I literally read all of the books in high school. And I was just like, this shit's good. Or I didn't read that one Cody was talking about. I never read that one. I should read it though.
Yeah, because like I haven't read the entirety of the Silmarillion, but I remember like when we were talking about in chat the other day, I like Wenzel was mentioning shit I had no idea about, and I'm like, fucking shit, I thought I was the Tolkien nerd. But anyway, Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's Star Trek. On board Starship Enterprise, they explore in the galaxy with a new crew. With Patrick Stewart, you got Captain Picard and crew. And I'm still on the first season, which everyone says is the worst. And I see what they're talking about, because there are some episodes that are really fucking bad. But everyone says by like season 2 and 3 it gets really good, so I'm going to stick with it. However, there are a couple gems of episodes. Only one thing, though. Look up Commander Riker sitting down. And why the fuck does he sit like that?
Oh, is it that? Oh, man. I think you shared that on Twitter the other day.
Yes, I did.
Commander, fuck.
Just look up Riker sitting down.
Okay.
And he does that in almost every scene he's sitting down.
Is it, he fucking, man, what is it? It's like the cool guys, or I don't even know how you describe that.
He like steps over the back of the chair to sit down. It's like, really weird.
Why? Yeah, why does he do that?
Apparently, someone on Twitter told me that it was because he had like back issues, and somehow that made it easier.
Which I say sus, because like, how does stepping over the top of a chair make it easier for your back?
I don't know. I mean, granted, a lot of the chairs are really like short, so who knows?
But so it's even funnier when he steps with the back of that command seat at the front of the deck.
Now, I don't know if he does that with that chair, but
that would be a hoot.
Okay,
that would be a hoot. That he just fucking like leaps over it.
He just like he just goes from that deck where Worf always, and he just hops over that ledge to get the seat.
I'm trying to think about it. What if it has something to do with like the orientation of how he gets into the chair? Like, because I guess if he does it like that, then that means that like his back will be constantly facing forward. But then pull the fucking chair out. I don't know.
Also, another thing about The Next Generation, because I had some coworkers that were watching it last year. Have you noticed something about Captain Picard whenever he sits down?
Not yet.
They say once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. But almost every time he goes to sit down, he pulls out the front of his uniform because it bunches up. And that's because his uniform was kind of ill-fitting in his stomach. So whenever he goes to sit down, he has to like straighten up his uniform or pull it out in the tummy.
Now that you say that, fuck, yes. God damn it. There's just a lot of weird shit like that in this show. But
that's just because it goes kind of like with the smaller budget of it. I mean, the first Star Trek was very famously low budget, and for a lot of people, that's very endearing to it.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, like with Next Generation, the first few seasons were that way before it blew up by season 3. However, I'm looking forward to Riker with a beard, because Riker with baby face is unsettling.
It just doesn't look right.
Yes. And
I don't know if that's just because he's so much more well-known with the beard. Because to see someone who has a beard for a long time and then them seem clean-shaven, it's an adjustment. Or he just has a really weird face that's when it's not covered up with a beard.
I think it's the latter. He just has a weird face.
And it's not like he's ugly or something. It's just something about it. It's just it's like a weird, uncanny effect that you just don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, and he's like the fucking ladies' man of the crew. So it's like seeing this guy with a weird face, like having sex with all these alien ladies. It's like, I guess they like weird face dudes.
He's like us in that way. He has a strange face. Because aliens are British.
Hey, my name's Spock. Live long and prosper.
God damn it. But yeah, so far, favorite character, Data. Probably not a hot take, but
Stupid, ain't it?
I do have some warm memories of the Next Generation because I remember watching that when I was very young, like 3 and 4, watching that with my dad because he watched the original Star Trek, and that was something we did together. We watched the Next Generation, and my Halloween costume for like 5 years as a kid was Captain Picard.
that's awesome.
Nerd alert. We got more nerds.
But yeah, because like I remember like the reruns used to come on all the time. I think it was Spike TV of all places. And I remember like trying to watch the show as a kid and being bored to fucking tears. and just
Spike
not
TV
getting any of it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like just the raw machismo of Spike TV, who's known for such show as like 100 Ways to Die and like
The Man Show, I think.
there was some fucking like Dick Bro show of like, did you know when you fart there's like mini nitro explosions and it's like giant titty bouncing girls?
Yeah, I think that was The Man Show or something.
It wasn't the Man Show, but it was like dude facts, just like trying to make science cool to like frat boys. So it was just like here's farts and piss and shit and titties.
Spike TV is for the bro nerds, okay? The bro scientists.
However, speaking of Spike TV, this is a total fucking tangent. But did any of y'all watch MXC?
Yes, that was my shit back in like the early 2000s.
What?
God, that show was so fucking funny. I don't know if it's funny now. It probably fucking sucks. But I just remember as a kid thinking that shit was funny as fuck.
Yeah, I found out it's actually on Tubi.
Wait, what show is this?
It's the show. It was called MXC Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, and it was basically they took a Japanese game show.
Takeshi's Castle, and they just made up their own dub for it. So it's like you have these people going through like these physical challenges and like falling in dirty water and shit. But like,
and then just even without the dub, a lot of these challenges are like really fucking bizarre. It's like some weird like Ninja Warrior shit before Ninja Warrior.
But it's much more like on like the average person's level.
Yeah,
like, none of these people are athletes.
Yeah, it's not like Ninja Warrior in its extreme, in the extremity of it. It's that's just the closest thing I could think of.
Yeah, it's like it has like all these physical challenges, but a lot of it's like luck based. Like for instance, there's one where there's this big moat of dirty water and like all these stepping stones, but one's fake, so nobody's know which one it is. So you just run across all these stepping stones, and if you fall in the fake one, it just sinks on. It's floating in place. So you just sink under water, and when you fall into dirty water, you lose. And it's all about whittling down like it's like. To use a reference that's really applicable these days, it's a real life version of Fall Guys.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, boom.
Yeah,
reference.
We need to check that out one day and see if it holds up.
I'm very curious because I'm not sure.
You guys need to play Fall Guys.
I mean, I want to. It's not from lack of
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
But yeah, so far, Next Generation, I recommend.
All right.
Nerd.
Now that we've sort of all been caught up and we talked about our new interests and what we've been doing, we did want to give a little bit of a preview what we'll be doing for the fall. And without giving too much away, of course, you can expect a lot more movie reviews. We'll be talking more in depth about some of the works of our particular actors. There'll be another kaiju episode, so that'll be a lot of fun. And thanks to a birthday gift I got from Jonathan, the Criterion collection of the Showa era Godzilla films. That'll be a lot of fun to see the Godzilla films in like pristine 4K remasters. So that's something I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, flex on us a little, Pat.
Oh yeah, I will. And of course, October we'll be having, of course, return to spooky content. A whole month full of spooky goodness. We'll be talking about different kinds of horror movies. We might even make another one of our own. We'll have to see. And in November, we have a lot of games we're going to play. And December, will be a whole month full of holidays. We're talking about different candies. We're playing some games. Have a few surprises in December as well. And also, you can look forward to more Fast and Furious files. We'll have, of course, our fall anime review, talking about all the big shows coming out in the fall, which, of course, some are horror, so that'll be very apropos to the month of October. And also, lastly, you might be hearing some familiar voices coming back in the fall. So we have a few of our friends stopping by, old and new. So be looking forward to that as well.
Whoop whoop.
It would be a whole lot better if Corona, the COVID, was not around by this time.
Oh yeah.
But who fucking knows?
Who fucking
Who
knows?
fucking knows?
Yeah, I mean, it would go away a lot faster if America wasn't dumb.
Like, we're the only ones that are still dealing with this bullshit on the same level as it was, if not worse, at the beginning of the year. Everybody else has got it on the control, essentially.
Yeah.
Like people complain. They're like, oh, there's all these people in these other countries. They're all out doing stuff. Why are we like? Because they got to it really fast and they dealt with it. We didn't do that, so we're still stuck in it because of you, dumbasses. Yeah. And by you, I mean the people. If you're listening to this and you don't wear a fucking mask, you don't wash your hands for some reason, you wipe your ass with your hand. Fuck you.
Yes, and it's even worse around where we live because we made the fucking national news because of
our local university, and because literally there was a day last week where there were more confirmed COVID cases from our local university than in another entire country, and then the fact that there's a strip of bars and restaurants outside the university that were so packed with people observing no form of social distancing or personal protection at all that there was a viral tweet sent about it, and we're just like, we're living in the heart of darkness of COVID in our city, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
University of Alabama, always ahead.
Except not, because they still have buildings and monuments named after slave owners.
And it kind of makes you think the entire reason that the university exists is just an excuse to have a football program. Higher education is a complete side piece to like keeping the sports program up and running.
But you know what? We're number one in party schools.
Yeah, we're in the top 5 for America's party colleges.
That's fucking stupid.
So yeah,
I'm
if
sorry.
you want to party, I don't suggest it.
I say party indoors because we've been doing a lot of partying indoors, and look, we're perfectly fine. We don't have to go out to bars to have a good time and to drink.
And also keep this in mind, people. It's a lot fucking cheaper to drink at home.
And I can promise you, if you show your ass at home, no one's gonna fucking know.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, Pat and Jonathan, you have to understand that the money that these kids are on, it's not their money. Mommy and daddy's money.
That is very true.
I mean, no. Okay, I say that. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to have financial assistance from your parents.
But there's a difference in like genuinely having financial assistance and then being a silver spoon brat.
Yeah, because like literally when these like getting really local at our inner grievances here, like these are the same kids that when moving day happens at the end of the semester, they live like flat screen TVs on the side of the road because they can't take it back home on the plane, so they just buy another one to get there. So literally thousands of dollars worth of high-end appliances will just end up on the curb, and literally it's like people watching when people go to like pull up their trucks and get brand new furniture and appliances just sitting there for trash pickup.
Yeah, and the thing is all of it pretty much works for the most part, or is at least functional.
Yeah, it's all perfect. Like there's not broken in any way. It's literally just refuse because they can't take it home.
Yeah.
And what's really fucked up are the people who get pets.
I was just about to say that.
Abandon them when it's time to go back home on Christmas break.
God, you remember when was that? Was it early this year or last year where someone let out a fucking python? And we had a fucking python on the loose.
I swear that was last year, but the way time has been so fucked up by COVID, who the hell knows?
Exactly.
Because like literally there's a town just outside of where we live where a college kid had a giant python they just ditched in the woods. I think it was last year though.
That sounds right, because I think it was right as I started my new job.
And you know something? Somebody has a fucking monkey in Tuscaloosa. Like, these little shits, man. Fuck. I don't know.
I hope the guy or the person who has the monkey
takes care of the monkey.
Yes. I mean, he's already teaching about Alabama football, so roll tide, little monkey man.
Roll tide. RMFT.
Man, I don't know. Sorry, we just went on a little tangent about these little privileged fucks who are probably fucking us over.
And not to mention they're also one of the major causes of the fucking housing crisis in this fucking town. But that's beside the point.
Yeah. If you want us here, just espouse all of our local grievances, let us know. You'll learn a little bit more about us and where we live. So maybe send us a line. But in any case, it's been great catching up with you guys today. It's been great sort of to explore our interests, independently, but still have a place to come back to at the end. And of course, we want to thank you all for not only sticking with us through the summer and our little experiment this month, but also listening to today's episode. We really do appreciate that. So be sure to follow us online and listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, and any RSS feed catcher. We're there. We're putting our banter out in the world, and please be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe on all those platforms. It really helps us out, puts us in front of new viewers, new listeners, and it really helps to keep the show going. You can follow us on social media on Instagram and Twitter at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Letterboxd and Facebook at All You Can Hear. You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/All You Can Hear, and on YouTube as well at All You Can Hear. And lastly, you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. Follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art. And give us a call sometime. We have a brand new hotline. We'd love to hear from you. You can call us at 205-523-4965. That's 205-LAD-4965.
And my name is Jonathan. You can follow me on Twitter at JONIIBOI24 and Letterboxd at John Odinson 12.
Thank you for listening, for putting up with however long this is going to come out. It's probably going to be very long. And, thank you for just putting up with us in general, especially during this time. It's been, I hope we've provided you comfort during this weird time in, if you live in America or anywhere in the world. You can follow me on Twitter at Wenzel Booking, follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzel, and then also if you want to check out my Letterboxd or Goodreads or anything like that, you can go, I should have a link tree on my Twitter and Instagram, so you can just click on there and I should have multiple links to multiple different resources, so thank you.
Awesome.
All right, so thank you very much. We'll be talking to you soon, and get ready for a really big fall. We'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.